I haven't raced or done any training for 5 years. So since the last Molokai I've done till now, I didn't do a single session, didn't paddle a board a single day, just put it down, just was kind of over it for a bit. And now I just sort of I remember I woke up at like 5 a.m. and watched the last Molokai that went through, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I got to do that again. Like, watch those guys go across the line. Like, oh, like I should have been there. I should have done that. Like, that was silly. What. But it was mainly just that COVID sort of gap where just nothing ran, and it's just like, like I don't need to train. There's no races. Like, why bother? So yeah. Then I watched that race. I'm like, yeah, that's why.
But it doesn't matter. All right. Okay, ready? Welcome to Speaking from Water, episode 52. Today's a very special episode. I have a legendary individual on the program. He's a world-class athlete, Catalina Classic four-time winner, four-time ISA world champion, and five-time Molokai runner-up. Lachie, how are you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty good for pretty different time zones. So I'm going to sleep and you're waking up. So yeah.
Well, Lachie Lansdown, bro, you come with a package of a athleticism that's renowned around the world. You've been recommended to me by many people, and I can't thank you enough for joining us today on Speaking from Water.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me. Just listen to some other podcasts. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Stoked to be part of it and people actually think about me. So I guess it's kind of cool.
Yeah, bro, you've been crushing it for years now. First of all, tell us, how are you doing today and what's been going on?
It's been a pretty big day actually. It's had Lockwood Holmes and his family's been here in Noosa. So been hanging out with those guys that raced against him for years. I took the Catalina record off him in 2016, and yeah, they're just here on vacation. So I've been hanging out, trying to surf with those guys and doing a bit of training in between. So yeah, just come from dinner and had a couple of beers with those guys, and yeah, tuning in. So
Sick. How's the
nothing too
surf?
special.
How are the waves?
Oh yeah, not great. It was good for the kids. He's got some young kids, so we were just surfing and kind of playing around with those guys. So it was pretty epic if you're an 11-year-old Grom. But yeah, if you're going out in a 5.6, you're probably not getting a whole lot out there.
So where are you right now?
I'm Noosa Heads, just been here, trained here the whole time. I've done all my races. It's where I sort of grew up here with my friends, and it's a pretty good melting pot for all sorts of athletes, and a lot of triathletes live here, move here, and train with us, as well as a bunch of surf sports and Geordie Mercer and all those guys. A lot of guys coming out of Noosa, good paddlers as well. So yeah, a bit of a melting pot for all sort of water-based sports. And, yeah, not bad waves every now and again. We just got to get the right cyclones as well. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little zone. Never too warm, never too cold.
What is it about the area that gets such great athletes to it?
I think like just almost that exactly. It's like it's almost perfect training conditions. Like I mean, it's probably one of the coldest days of the year today, and I'm just here in a jumper and shorts. So I mean, you're waking up, you got chilly mornings, but it's not icy cold. Same thing in summer. You get a couple of weeks where it's stinking hot, but it's not excessive tropical heat. So yeah, it's that kind of that middle zone that's really nice, and we got great facilities here, a beautiful ocean and headland to paddle around, I guess. It's pretty just a nice sort of middle ground and good zone just to be here, as well as access to coaches and all that. There's a lot of people, ex athletes that are retired here as well. Even just swimming in like I just do swim in the adult squad at the aquatic centre here, and there's still ex-com games, triathletes, and Olympian stuff there in between the lanes. So it's always cool to just chat, and just when you think you're doing it hard, they go, "Oh yeah, we did it a bit harder back in the '90s." So stuff like that. It's always pretty cool.
That's so sick. How much does swimming play a role in your paddleboard training?
Oh, as much as I hate to say it, a lot. I don't know any good paddler that doesn't swim. Um, I absolutely hate doing it, but I'll be there three, sometimes I used to do 4 times a week. Probably not as many as other guys. As Stu said, he does a bit more than that when I listen to your podcast. So I try to do the bare minimum because I don't like it, but I think it's one of the more unfortunately, one of the more important things to being a good board paddler is, swimming a lot. It's where 0 to no impact cardio is just the best thing for you, and pretty much holding your breath the same time, as well as using the same muscles. I mean, there's nothing else that compares to it, specifically for board paddling. So, yeah, very, very important to being a good paddler.
And what does a practice of yours look like?
Me at swimming,
Yep.
usually turn up 5 minutes late, get rousted by the coach. Then his son turns up 5 minutes later than me, so it doesn't sound as bad as it was. Because he's coming to training for Molokai this year as well. It'll be he's going solo. His name's Zion. And then the three of us guys that are training for Molokai at Noosa, we just kind of sit at the back of the lane, hold on for dear life, usually do 3K main set, and then get out. So pretty standard procedure.
Epic. And all early in the morning?
Yeah, I like to do it all first thing, wake up off the bat, 5:30, straight into it. Yeah. Otherwise I just don't do it. I mean, if I went in the afternoon, I'd think, oh, I'll just go tomorrow. But if I'm waking up at 5:30, it's like, nah, just get up, get it done, and then go paddle or do something else throughout the day.
So like doing something that you don't like doing particularly, like I assume you love paddling. Like when you get on that paddleboard, you just feel it. But
Mm.
like you don't like swimming. But when you finish your set that early in the morning, like what's that sense of accomplishment like the rest of the day?
I just sets you up for the rest of the day. I feel like no matter what you do, if you're doing multiple sessions or not, it's just okay. I've done a big one, done a solid one, something really beneficial to what I'm trying to achieve. Move on. Yeah, I think just sets it up. And the mornings that we're not swimming, we're paddling. We do a lot of I'm saying we because I got this year for the first time. I've got guys that I'm actually training with. I've previously done all my training solo, so we're doing almost every session together at the moment, and they're just going for a finish, and I'm going to win. So I've been absolutely thrashing them, whether they like it or not. But yeah, we swim together, and if we're not swimming together, we'll train on the river. Usually do a river set in the dark in the morning, and that's just how we bump our Ks up. And yeah, it's just same thing. No variables, nowhere to hide. When you're training on the river, it's just you and the paddleboard. So just raw base fitness. I think it's one of the best things you can be doing.
So sick. So you've been at this game for a long time now. How old are you?
I'm 28. Just turned 28.
So you're really like at that part of your career where you're just on all cylinders. Uh, but you
Yeah,
say
I guess.
but like looking at your record, like you've been winning for a long time. So actually I don't really want to go there yet. when did you really, let's go all the way back to the beginning. When did you find this love for the water?
Um, when I was younger, I used to live in regional Victoria, so absolutely nowhere near the ocean. And my mum got a job up in Queensland, where we live now, and we just moved there. And from that, they just kind of said, "We know nothing about the ocean, but we want you to." So they signed us up for our NIPA program, which is your junior guards. And kind of through that process, just learned to really love it, and then finally got to a point after 6 7 years of that kind of thing and moving up through surf lifesaving, just decided that that's really what I want to do, and have like 90% of my focus all towards that sort of paddling scene and goal. So yeah, it was long stage, but yeah, when I first started, I was getting rescued quite a bit because I wasn't any good at anything. It's pretty funny. So come a long way, but wasn't sort of until I was, gonna say 13, maybe 14, 15, I actually started going reasonably well in some of the races. And then this is all the short course surf lifesaving club racing stuff. So all the states and Aussies kind of thing. And every year I used to go better at the endurance races at the start of the season. Just enjoyed doing it more. And then I'd go do the club season and still do pretty well. But yeah, kind of formed. I kind of just moved like towards more of the endurance stuff when I realized that Molokai and that existed. And yeah, kind of just chipped its way further and further and further, and ended up here after a decade or so. So yeah, kind of all just from that surf club base, NIPA program, junior guards, just started it off.
So when you were that young kid showing up on the beach for the first time, was do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I was like super pasty white, had speedos that didn't fit me, looked super out of place. I got this photo. Mum still got it. It's pinned up on the wall at home. Just looked like the goofiest kid. Could barely swim, keep myself afloat. And yeah, that
Do-
first couple season, I think I got rescued like 4 or 5 times.
and
So yeah,
what,
wasn't a good start.
yeah, but like you stuck with it. A lot of kids these days, they expect instant success. They expect to be the best instantly, but there's a long arc to greatness. So what is
Yeah,
what was
I mean,
that like, being thrashed and scared and not stoked
um,
at the beginning?
um, well, I can tell you that I've definitely had the conversation about I don't want to go back. I don't want to do it again. And mum and dad are like, no, like we live near the ocean now. Like it's going to be part of your life one way or another. Like we want you to be good, confident, and educated. So yeah, back we went next season, and so we got better and better and better. So yeah, it's all sort of stemmed from mum and dad really, just going, and like it might have sucked at the time, but it's my job, career. It's almost every aspect of my life is around the ocean now, and it all sort of stemmed back from them just going, "No, nah, you're going again." So yeah, I think definitely worth it in the long run, even though it wasn't my decision.
I love that. I've three young children, and one of my uh, little guys, Dax, he's like 9, and it's like getting him to swim practice is like pulling teeth, and he's got great ability, but like the that tenacity. So as a parent, you always don't want to be like forcing, but you want to make sure they're getting there and like
Yeah.
doing it, because you never know what's gonna turn out in the end. Um, so what do you remember your first competition in this regard, like getting to the starting line, and is that where you kind of found this this seed, I guess, for the competition?
Yeah, we had a lot of like inter-club, just kind of small competitions in our Noosa area, and there's a three-way between the three clubs in our council. I think that was probably one of the first ones I did. There's like, oh, like an actual, like we're here to race, and then same thing like that season, that sort of first one. Just went and did. It was just racing for fun. It was just turn up. It was like an extra day on the weekends. It was cool. Like you got to go sort of travel somewhere, but not too far away. And yeah, I think for the first two races when I did the Iron Person, I got lapped, and it's only two disciplines at that age. So, and then the next one, I was so far behind, they made me get in the boat because I was holding up the next race. So, yeah, and it wasn't till another couple years later that I think I was actually talking to Dad about it last night, and just had like one sort of like half result. I'm like, oh, I made it to the next round. I was like, oh, I didn't know there was the next round. I just thought you did one and went home. And then it's like, oh, like you actually like you almost made it to the final. Like maybe you should turn up to training and like start having a go. And yeah, just sort of okay, I'll turn up once a week. Like okay, getting better. Back again, back again. But yeah, took a long while, especially when I was maybe like 13, 14-ish, and these guys had been racing since they were six, so the gap was pretty big. But then by the time we got to 16, 17, 18, it was all kind of evened out again. But yeah, same thing again. It was just like it wasn't sort of the best at the start. It was just sort of like uh, racing was just like an extra excuse to go paddle, go hang out with your mates. It wasn't seen as like a competitive, like, come on, you got to have a crack at it. It was just like, oh, like, yeah, we're going to a different beach this weekend. Let's go. So yeah, it's pretty slow start, but yeah, once we got to like sort of, or say 15 to 18, started getting a bit more serious and trying to make Aussie finals and yeah, racing for medals. Yeah, it's good.
And do you think a lot of that was like you're filling into your body as far as a man? You know, you're getting more muscles. You're learning more about the sport. You're practicing. Are these the elements?
Yeah, I think I was like always a lot smaller than most of the guys I raced against. Even still, like I'm under 6 foot. Um, yeah, it just kind of like sort of some of the guys were just teaching like like sort of play to your advantages. You shorten your stroke rate and go out in the surf. Like stuff like that. You kind of got to play to what you got, and yeah, that was kind of it. It was just yeah. I know I didn't really take it seriously till yeah a lot later on, which I think was probably one of the better things. As soon as I didn't get to 18, 19, I'm not burnt out. I just started like getting to my 20s and started sort of winning stuff more. Or actually doing quite well, making Aussie finals. I think I only made like one individual final in the end before I sort of stopped doing it and doing long distance. So yeah, but that was just all sort of yeah same origins as most Australian paddlers, all just through that surf lifesaving system. Yeah, until I just went, I don't enjoy this as much anymore. I just want to do Molokai.
And were you guarding at this point also on the beach?
Yeah, we can start guarding by pay. Well, technically, you can get your surf rescue certificate at 13, and you can patrol and volunteer. And then I believe it's 15. You get your bronze medallion, and you're a fully qualified patrolling member. And then at 18, you can become a professional lifeguard and be paid to do it. So yeah, as soon as possible. I've done all sorts of odd jobs in between, but I've always lifeguarded from pretty much the day that I finished school to still on the beach now. Um, but yeah, so working professionally and still racing in between that, all through the same colours, same banner. So yeah, it's a bit different to how you guys are set up, whereas we have our clubs who race at the Australian titles and do that surf life saving stuff. But then we have our professional lifeguard service that's employed differently to work the same beaches. So the lifeguards don't actually race; it's your job, and that's your lifeguard service, patrol the beach. And then if you want to race, you join the club and represent the club. So the clubs will patrol the beaches on the weekends through the summer holidays, and the professional lifeguards work every other day in the year, so they fill in all the other spaces. So yeah, it's like two separate things, entities just that are doing the same thing, patrolling the beaches, but one allows you to race through that system and wear club colours and go represent, and the other one's just a job that's to be professional.
Interesting. I did not know that. Is there
Yeah.
any sort of like what's like the cultural mix between the two? Is it one of like positivity, animosity, envy? What's your take?
Depends on the week. Yeah, look, there's always going to be clashes, I think, when no matter what you do, firefighters and emergency service, anything, when you have volunteers and professionals working together, I mean, there's obviously a lot of egos at stake, but where I work and the surf club that I'm a member of now at Sunshine, we get on really well together, and I think it's really good. We always work quite well. But some other places, I think Noose is pretty good, but some places it's just like petty bickering. Really, we're all there to do the same job. We're under the same banner. We wear the same uniform. It's just yeah, and some of the guards are a bit in that aspect where they kind of get grumpy at a bit of incompetence. Or I think it's maybe the best way to put it, but it's like you've received like triple the amount of training to this person who's just turned up and volunteered their time on the weekend. So you got to, you can't expect the world of them. But yeah, it's definitely times when you go, what are you doing? um, but yeah, I guess you'll get that sort of everywhere. Same thing, I'm sure, all aspects around the world. But yeah, I think as a whole, like it's pretty good. It has been worse, but I think at the moment it's pretty good.
Uh, Recently I've gotten back into actually like lifeguarding professionally on the beach, and it'd been a number of years since I'd been out there, and it's a amazing job. It's as good as anyone thinks it is. Can you speak to the job and what it means to you?
I reckon it's the best job in the world until something goes wrong. I think that's what I tell everyone. It's you're like, especially when you work at Noosa, like I'm paid to sit at a tourist location that people are paying thousands of dollars to visit and sit at. It's like any miserable day that you ever had. If you think of it like that, it's like you can't. I think it's the best thing ever. And then when something does happen, you have the opportunity to help someone, and like help out a member of the community, which I think is super rewarding as well as being upholding like great waterman skills. I guess is probably the best way to put it, because spend a lot of the time. And once again, like you're paid to maintain water skills. I mean, I just don't really think it might not pay the best in the world, but I don't think you can match that anywhere else. I just think I love it.
So true. And before we move on back to the paddling, can you speak to the fact of like when you're sitting in a or you're at the beach all day from like the beginning to the end and being able to watch the change in the ocean, the change in the water aesthetically from the light to the tides. Give us a message on that.
You definitely learn a lot about where you live. Um, yeah, I used to think I knew a lot about, you know, where I grew up, and then you spend 8 hours a day, 5 days a week watching the water. You learn a lot more about what's going on. It's yeah, it's the same thing again. It's pretty cool just to be like going back to like you're paid in a position to learn about every intricacy about the headland and everything that's going on there around you as well. So yeah, I think it's great. Also, pretty handy that if you know something goes wrong, you go, oh, good chance, you know, this is going to happen. You can almost try to start predicting things. Yeah, if you're quite smart and clued into it. So yeah, it's good.
What does the topography of your little beach look like?
We have, I think, 4 right-hand point breaks into a bay of kind of like closeout beaches. Yeah. So it's everything comes in from one side and then just flushes out down the beach. So every day of the year, the sweep goes that way. So it's yeah, it makes when you know and understand like how the water flow works off the headland, it's a lot easier to sort of anticipate what's going to be happening and you set your beach up accordingly. But yeah, like doesn't happen too often, but we can get like really, really good waves. Some like a similar wave to like Malibu, really good longboard waves, and then on the outer points when you get around to it's all national park as well, which is pretty cool. It was never developed, which is I don't think you really see that in many places around the world. Yeah, you can get some pretty good heavy barrels out the back, but as it comes around, it trickles down and gets smaller. So yeah, just nice, really good longboard waves.
And what months are your seasons of like action for those waves?
Um, we can get like point swells any time of the year, but summer it's a better chance you'll get one. We pretty much need like a big low pressure system or a cyclone sitting off the coast, and that'll generate the right swell direction because you need it to be north or east because the headland blocks anything else. And then it'll wrap around and get into the bay without it being windy. So it's a pretty particular set of conditions you need for it to be pumping. But yeah, when it's good, it's good.
And you're known worldwide for your paddling, but looking at your Instagram feed, you're a world-class knee surfer. When did you discover this, and how does that incorporate into your being in the water as a waterman?
I didn't really start doing that till COVID come,
Really,
really.
really.
I used to do a little bit of longboarding, not very good at it. Um, and I know I'm trying to surf a shortboard, I just get like frustrated because it's like, oh, if I was surfing my paddleboard, I could have done a cutback there. And now I'm just kind of standing here like a poo man, like scooting down the line, like wasting waves. So I actually just went on like you like Craigslist sort of equivalent, like Gumtree we call it here, and just got like a $50 board, and like oh like it was like a 5.6 and single fin. Started surfing that, and then just keep buying. I got maybe like 15 or 20 now, just like 50, $100 boards, old twin fins, all like 70 single fins, like just kind of cool stuff. And I think the point break wave we got, it's like the single fins are just so much fun. Yeah, it's kind of how I got into that. Was just like, instead of surfing a paddleboard, I just surfed a 5-6 sort of single fin. And then COVID sort of hit and I stopped paddling. So it kind of pretty much ended up being all I did for a good couple of years there.
The two
Yeah.
sports seem like they translate very well as far as being on the knees goes. Can you speak to the act and the feeling of being on your knees and how that is as someone who's riding on a wave? I know from my own personal experience that that sensation is completely different than bodyboarders ride on on their bellies and they speak of that sensation as being something just totally different. And obviously surfers surfing on your feet is a whole nother thing. The being on your knees though is also, I believe, its own thing. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Is that certainly get lots of like being on your knees jokes in the car park afterwards. um, but I don't know, I never really surfed like well enough to sort of get like, I guess, like the sort of good feeling where you got like total control of surfing. But I think just surfing a kneeboard, you're a lot closer to the face. You're a lot lower to the wave, and yeah, you can. I mean, if you get the right wave, you can probably pivot a lot better because you're just down lower, center of gravity. So yeah, I guess that's sort of like your only advantages, and you can get barreled if it's 2 foot, which is pretty good.
So then when you go to your bark and you're doing downwinders and you're catching swells, are you then even like, because you've spent so much time surfing on your knees, are you like is that a greater per just way of getting out there, and are you at a higher level?
Yeah, I guess I think probably because I learned to like surf downwind on the bark first. Kind of like maybe going the other, like translated the other way a bit. But yeah, I think definitely after not paddling for close to 5 years now, just because of all the COVID stuff, and then going back to paddling my bark and surfing downwind, I definitely sort of look at things differently, I guess. And I guess I'll be trying to, get different little wedges and stuff when you're downwinding, or just looking at things that I wasn't paying attention to before. Because when you see something like that, like a swell line like that, when you come through surfing, like that's what you're paying attention to when you're surfing, but it wasn't what I was paying attention to when I was downwinding. So yeah, I guess it's a different sort of outlook and aspect, and I don't know if it's making me go faster or if I'm paying attention too much and now I'm going slower. So yeah, I don't know. I guess yeah, it's just as the more I do it, the more I'm looking for and probably over analyzing it now. I don't know, thinking about it too much, but yeah, trying to look at things differently to go faster.
And you just spoke of a gap, a 5-year gap. What was that?
I haven't raced or done any training for 5 years. So since the last Molokai I've done till now, I didn't do a single session, didn't paddle a board a single day, just put it down, just was kind of over it for a bit. And now I just sort of, after, I remember I woke up at like 5 a.m. and watched the last Molokai that went through. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I got to do that again. Like, I just watch those guys go across the line. Like, oh, like I should have been there. I should have done that. Like, that was silly. What. But it was mainly just that COVID sort of gap where just nothing ran, and it's just like, like I don't need to train. There's no races. Like, why bother? So yeah, then I watched that race. I'm like, yeah, that's why. That's why.
This
So
is
then
so you watched
signed up.
the last race last year. You watched it and
Yeah,
you said I need that. And then you started training.
Yeah.
So you've been
Yeah.
training for how many months now?
We did 20 weeks, the three of us training here in Noosa. Done 20 weeks. We got 5 left. Is it yesterday? It was 5 weeks till race day. So I used to always do a 16-week block. And then I said, oh, no, 15 weeks or 15 or 16. And then I said I'd do an extra week for every year that I missed. So 20.
So the last time you did Molokai was 2019,
Yeah.
and you're a 5-time runner-up. So you've done it 5
Yeah.
times. Okay.
I've done it 8 times.
8 times. Oh man.
No, 7. 7, sorry.
Okay.
I'm getting confused. I think about it myself.
You're about to do it 8. You're about to do it 8 times.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
then what year then was your first year? You were 20?
That
Is that is
was around 2013, I think.
so you would have been 20
I'm
years
pretty
old.
sure that was.
Is that right?
Actually, I don't even know the years. I just remember I was 17 when I did teams. So I went over and did a team with Kurt Lager, and we won it. And then I went over the next year and got second. And then I got a 6th place. And then the rest of the seconds.
Dude. Wow.
So,
Okay. Now I kind of want to backtrack a second here. So you were doing Aussies, and that's short course, and you're doing really well. Like you made it to the finals, which is huge and like massive.
only junior finals, not the real one.
All right, still you were a junior anyway. That's huge. So how did you go from short course mentality, which is a whole different thing than the distance, and like what precipitated that entry into the distance, and what went on your brain like, oh, actually I like that a lot better?
So I don't know if they do it anymore, but when we were sort of that age, we had like a really good group of guys out of Noosa, like 6 or 7 really strong board paddlers. And every year they used to run like just a small series of endurance races, and they were maybe anywhere between 2 to 5K. And it was just something we just sort of did it in the off season. And I'd probably get first or second in most of them. Out of and usually in that group of guys, I'd be getting like 5th or 6th. Like I was never the fastest sort of sprinter. But then when we did the endurance races, I was always like one of the top guys. So it's kind of like looking at that, like, yeah, I kind of enjoy this racing a bit more. And then one of my best mates is Lincoln Hughes, and he does a bunch of sailing and stuff now. But he's old man and done it for years, and he went over and did this thing that we'd never heard of called Molokai to Oahu, and he went and did team. And then he did pretty well, and he thought it was so cool, and he like told us all about it and all this stuff. And I just like went home and researched it, like, whoa, like that thing's really cool. Like it's in Hawaii, like it's crazy. Like this is really cool. And then year went by, and actually went and watched Wes Berg's and Zeb Walsh's movie called One Touch. Went and watched it in the cinema, and that was about and Dean Brady. So it had a professional surfer and 2 like club race paddlers. They went over and did it. They made a movie about it. And I like as soon as I walked out of the cinema, I said to my mum, I'm like, that's what I'm doing. Like everything from now is taking steps towards that. And I went down the next week and I sat down with my coach, who was Darren Mercer at the time. I said, Daz, like, this is what I want to do. And he's like, okay, well, let's like write a 5-year plan to be like competitive at this race. So from that, we did finished the season at Aussies. There was another like long distance race at Hamilton Island, which is like 16 kilometers. When I did that, and I finished that. He's like, yeah, like it was terrible, just terrible long distance race. It was just a lap around an island, kind of sucked. Beautiful island, but the race sucked. And he's like, that was bad. You still want to do it? I'm like, yep. Okay, what's next? Next year again, this was when I was like 17. Signed up to do Molokai teams. And yeah, got paired up with Kurt Lager over there. He's one of the lifeguard chiefs on Oahu now. And yeah, absolute legend. And we won the teams that year. Then next step was to race in opens and race competitively. And the last step was to win it. And I still haven't got that, like more than 10 years later. So yeah,
how hungry are you? How hungry are you right now for that win?
Yeah, it's been a pretty big part of my life. Like, you know, more than a decade now. So yeah, I guess as hungry as I've ever been, you know, still waking up 5 a.m., training for a couple of hours before work. And yeah, I guess we'll find out in 5 weeks, won't we?
So how was that first race that you did solo?
Epic. That was, I was gonna make sure I get all my years right. I'm pretty sure it was 2014 was my first solo year, I think. I don't know, they all sort of blend together. But that was the year we had Jack Bark, Zeb Walsh, Fletcher Davies, and me in like a pack. And it's the only time that we've sort of raced like that in the years I've done. But for the whole entire race up until we're like deep into the backwash, like, you know, the last portion of Molokai, we were no further than 30 yards apart from each other, four of us. So we were like on top of each other, doing crossovers in the channel, like running into each other, bumping into boards, like the whole lot, like all like on top of each other for like 4 hours until Jack got like a double up runner, put 200 yards on us and just held that gap to the finish line. And then me and Zeb went north, I went south. I was like, okay, we'll just split the difference. It's 50-50. You know, like, what are you going to lose from it? You might win the race, you might not. You know, you might keep the position you got. So, and I ended up coming in second. And I think Fletcher sort of ended up pulling out from an injury. So that was the first solo year. And Jack, I think me, Jack, and Seb broke the record that was held there. Pretty sure Mikey Cote held the record at the time. So yeah, that was like I think 5:30 something. Yeah, that sort of range. So then over the next couple of years, me and Stu broke the record. Well, Stu broke the record, but I was under the record that was previously there. I think another 3 times. And then the last one, Stu broke 5 hours. So the first, I think, 3 or 4 guys went under 5 hours. So I think that was a pretty big milestone. First stockboard to crack that 5 hour zone. I guess when it rains, it pours. Such a perfect day, and just a bunch of guys knocked it off all at once.
Incredible. How do you navigate the channel in those early days? Do you have the captain do it, or do you kind of have your sights?
I try to leave it to the captain because I mean they've got like, I think like when you're paddling, you just got your blinkers on, like, you know, the horses, and you focus on what's in front of you. You're not up and looking to try and like get landmarks and reference points, you know, to get yourself in a good spot. So I tell the boat captain, like, you drive the run line and I'll surf to you. So if I'm getting away from the boat, it's like it's my responsibility to move back to the boat to be on the line, not for the boat to move to me to be moving us both off course. So that's sort of how I try to navigate it. And then I usually uh, ask the opinion of the boat guy, like, hey, like, we're in the current, are we going to the wall? Are we going to cut it short? Like, just straight line it to China walls. Like, at that point, I think it's like 5 hours in, you're not making the best decisions, and it's good to have like a second opinion or have someone go, hey, go that way. Hey, there's something you haven't noticed. Go that way, to kind of finish it off. And then, well, when you're through China walls, it's just up to you because the boat can't get to you. So yeah, that's how I've always sort of run it. I think every race I've done, just try to get a local and trust their opinion.
What part of the race is the most mentally challenging for you?
I think once you pass China walls and you got that, like, yeah, inside the flat water, you got like a couple knots headwind because it just totally swings around you. I think something to do with like the mountains there, it just whips it round and puts it straight back in your face. So you go from downwind to headwind. That last little bit where the finish line, it looks like it's not getting any closer. It's still like the little shack on the side of the road. Everything hurts, and you're paddling in flat water with like a 5 knot fluff and spray in your face. That's because it's so close, but it's so far. That's the bit that always gets me. It feels like, oh, like it's right there, but it's like it's another like the mile, 2 miles.
And how do you view your hydration and nutrition along the race?
Yeah, probably one of the most important part of the races. If you like bonk, or especially when you're out there, because the water's warm, the air's hot, it's humid. Like, if you're not hydrated, you're not on top of that, it's pretty much race over. And I think I learned that majorly the hard way. Um, that year's 2015 when it was a flat year, and I don't know how, but I knocked my drink bottle out of the cage at the start line. So then you've got 45 minutes where you can't access your boat. So I had the first hour of the race without any hydration. Got to halfway and could barely put my hands in front of each other. Like, just completely lost it. So yeah, I guess it took that for me to go, hey, like, no, you need to take this more seriously. Like, hey, if your drink bottle's falling out of the cage, take 10 seconds to pick it up. So yeah, but it's pretty important to get that right and get something that you're comfortable with, as well as it meets the needs that, meets the output that you're given to the race as well. Because you're burning a lot of calories, and if you're not putting that back in, yeah, it's one-way ticket to not finishing the race.
How many times do you get nutrition along the way? Is it based on a feeling, or do you schedule it?
I have it on schedule. I think I'm about to do a big paddle coming up. It's scheduled for me this week. So that's my opportunity if I want to change something. It'll be like a full race run through for me here. And then I can go, hey, that didn't work. I won't do it in the race. Or, hey, that worked better. I'll do it in the race. But I've previously just gone every 30 minutes, I get a new bottle and I try to knock that off. So drinking probably a lot more than I need. It just means that you pee a lot. But I'm trying to get almost all my carbs, electrolytes, any salts, everything that I need is coming through a water bottle. So I'm not taking the time. Like I've had years where I've had food and you're trying to paddle one-handed and eat and you fall off and you lose it and you're chasing your board. Like just try to like get rid of that completely. Because I'm not going to be taking the time to sit up and have food during the race. Like it's head down the whole way. I'm not messing around with anything like that because I mean you can get 2 runners in the time that you sat up and had your snack. What's that? It can be like 300-400 yards if you get good ones. So each time you do that, yeah, not doing that anymore. Don't have enough time for that era, especially when you're racing people like Stu. So yeah, all of it's coming through water bottles, 30-minute intervals.
And you speak of Stu. He only paddles on his stomach. It sounds like. How do you view that technique? And I see a lot of photos of you on your knees. Can you speak to paddling on your knees versus your stomach? And let me just take this moment to speak to the audience. Like, if anyone's listening and is confused as to what we're speaking about, this is not stand-up paddle boarding at all. This is paddle boarding prone with your arms and your hands. With that said, back to the question there.
Yeah, Stu's a freak. I don't know how he does it. Um, I get more power out of knee paddling, probably because I got skinny little arms. But yeah, I almost the opposite. I try to do most of my knee paddling, and then when I'm laying down, I'm resting my hamstrings pretty much. So I move a lot quicker when I'm up, and I just feel like I have more leverage and more access to like instant power to get a downwind swell. I think sort of the best way to put it. And yeah, compared to Stu, like even when I first started seeing him racing, like I was like, I don't understand how he's moving so quick. I'd go and watch YouTube videos of him, like, what's he doing different to everyone? So yeah, but I think he's definitely changed the way a lot of guys sort of look, and it's not just like long, slow strokes on your stomach anymore. It's quite using your arms as to gain leverage and access more power through leverage to make the board move faster. But yeah, I just think that me personally, everyone's sort of different. Like I know guys that do have a beep on their watch, 2 minutes. They go 2 minutes knee paddling, beep goes, go on your stomach. But if I'll do most of my knee paddling, if I'm on a good run or a good sequence of runs, I'll stay up on my knees and wait till I've fallen off or in between before I change up. But it's just all by feeling for me.
And when you're home chilling, do you spend a lot of time on your knees in that position, stretching? Just being in that position?
When I'm not paddling, I try to avoid it because I think, I mean, I guess my joints have only got so much in them. And I feel like I'm probably going to get to 45 and have hip and knee surgery anyway. So I try to stretch everything around them as well as hip flexors. I think I get more pain out of my hips than I do anything else because I think that's the crease of where you're knee paddling. So like most of my stretching that I do is all like upper legs, lower back, hips. So any around it, either side of it, not necessarily knees themselves. I think spend enough time on them paddling. You don't need to be doing. You pretty much stretch to your max capacity when you're leaning back, downwinding. You're not getting much more from stretching off the board.
And how much does weight training play into your your training, or does it at all?
Yeah, I do a bit. I train at a CrossFit gym with a South African fella called Richie. Yeah, he's been sort of with me from the very, very start. He also actually come to the surf club and run sessions for us when I was maybe 15 or 16, and I still train with him a couple times a week. I just think for Molokai, maybe not so much other races like Catalina and those, but the downwind races, it's pretty important to just be able to have that turn of speed and just the raw power to be able to crack a runner, especially at Molokai. If it's, for instance, like a 6, 8, 10 foot swell rolling through, like if you haven't got that strength, you're not getting down it. It's just going to roll underneath you, hope for the next one. But you need that power to be okay, when they come, just go bang, 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 4 hard strokes and get down the face of that wave, get down the face of the swell, turn of speed. And I think that all just comes from that weight training.
And while we're there, can you describe that sensation, that feeling when you do catch that downwinding wave, and how that feels to your soul?
I think it's pretty. If you get good, clean, effortless downwind, I think I enjoy it just as much as surfing. I mean, it's same thing. It's just, it's like that feeling of speed, I guess. Yeah, you're flying down the line on a nice wave. If not doing turns or nothing, you just that basic feeling of just going fast. It's just pretty much, I think, the best way I can sort of describe it. Except that you might be 2 mile offshore, can't see anyone, no headland or nothing in front of you. You're in the middle of nowhere, and you're just catching these waves again and again and again. I think it's on its days as good as surfing.
So sick. And people listening out there, these waves aren't breaking. These are open ocean swells. And how long does one last typically? A good one?
Or if you can link a couple together, you might be getting good 500, 600 yards. You go do something like Maui to Molokai, or those runs, or if you go to I think probably some of the best was Columbia River Gorge in Oregon, actually on fresh water. But yeah, you can sometimes just get short little spurts and they'll just fizz out. But if it's like a long ocean swell or the wind's been going and usually a couple days, it'll generate longer runners, good bump, and you can get them pretty long way. It's just all about connecting them together and putting your board in the right position to get the next section and keep moving forward. Same as surfing any other board, that like if you're not putting your board in the right spot, you're not making sections. Same thing, you just got to look to how it's reforming and continue to move forward with it.
You just mentioned Oregon, and I'm not familiar with this spot. Can you speak to what this location?
Okay, so back when I used to go and travel between every year that I'd go and do Molokai and Catalina, I'd spend a month in California trying to knock off as many races as I could. And instead of coming home to Australia and then going back again, I'd just go and hang out with the Bark family and all those guys that come paddle. And one of the biggest races of the year, I'm not even sure if it runs anymore, is actually in the Columbia River Gorge at a place called Hood River in Oregon. So you have this massive, big canyon that just funnels all the wind down, and at the bottom of it you've got this big river, and the current goes one way and the wind goes the other. So it makes the most like clinically perfect downwind waves, because the current cycles it up. It's almost like a stationary wave, but it's just enough that you're moving forwards with it. And if you ever get the chance to go there and downwind, it's amazing. You almost like, you know, barely putting your hands in the water and you're getting the best downwind surfing that I've had anywhere in the world. But yeah, it's just like a small, I think it's like a 7 mile stretch where the river gets narrower. So everything's more concentrated, the current's faster, the wind's heavier, you know, faster. So it just makes, you know, waist to chest high, perfect clinical downwind in freshwater in Oregon, middle
That
of
is
nowhere.
so wild. Did the Bark family turn you onto this spot?
Yeah, there's a big race there every year. They we never actually did it. We turned up and watched our friends do it, and then we went and did the downwind run behind them. Just had fun with it, you know, didn't take it seriously. And there's also a bunch of like other heaps of cool stuff there. Like we went whitewater rafting with the paddle boards and did lots of silly things. But yeah, I can't even remember why. I think Jack just said it was like, oh, it's a cool race, let's go. So we just got in the car and went. And yeah, we went camping up there. And he was like me, Matt Poole, Nick Malcolm, Abby Brown, and Jack, and all just went, okay, let's go tomorrow. Went the next day and camped up there, and just it was one of the best weeks of my life. And then I went back there a couple of years later, and I think hopefully we're going back again this year. I don't even know if a race is on. We're just going to go up there because it's just cool. It's such like, I feel like when you sort of have this like picture of wind surfing in your head, you've got nice 20 knot wind, crystal clear blue water, you know, like that sort of image of Hawaii comes to mind when you think of downwinding. And this is the most opposite thing, like dark water, like white caps, cliffs either side, and pine trees. It's like it's like one of the most furthest things that you think of when you think of, and it's one of the best runs I've ever done in my life. I think we did it like 3 times in one day actually. There's a bus you catch up each time, just kept going. Woof and woof and woof.
That's absolutely incredible and amazing that the Earth has something like that that you can access with the same sport that you love so much. That has so many cross variables, but at the same time is so just different.
Yeah, it's definitely a trip. And the thing that kind of wigs you out the most, if you ever, I don't know, if you're sort of like a numbers guy and you're looking at how many, you know, miles per hour you're doing, you go so slow that you're surfing the whole time because the current's going against you. So the actual board is not necessarily moving forward. You're just on a runner that's like a stationary wave. So it's like it's a total trip. It's just everything about it's just like, yeah, kind of mind blowing as far as you can get with that, with like for paddling.
That's so wild. So you're obviously tight with the Bark family. You're wearing the Bark shirt. How did you initially meet Jack Bark? And tell us a little bit about the legend.
I think we were just racing against each other, and that was just simply it. Like they're the nicest people in the world, and it's not just like Jack and Joe. It's the whole family and everyone that they're friends with. It's like it's like the Bark family, but it's the Bark community, you know. And still chat to him almost every single day. Um, and yeah, I think we just kind of were racing, and then I was like, oh, like I really like your board, I want a board. And kept chatting, like, oh, like we're going to the same events. You want to travel together? Like, yeah, sweet. And then yeah, every time I go over there, I'm like staying at their place with their Jack and Katie. They got 1,000 dogs. and chickens and cats and everything. You always like get to crash at their place, and yeah, always go. And Jack's always got some kind of like wild adventure. Like, yeah, one of the last times I went over there, we paddled 123K straight, just because that's what Jack does for fun. So yeah, it's just stuff like that. But yeah, I think he's one of my best mates, and always looked out for me, even though that we were like, you know, toughest competitors side by side, sprint finish, rubbing shoulders every single time. He'd be the first one to say, "Well done" to you when you're finished, and then let's go get a beer.
Beautiful. How has your board shape, your design evolved over your career in the endurance?
It hasn't changed a whole lot, and I don't think it needs to. Joe's got it pretty damn dialed. Like, he's been shaping for a very long time. He knows what's going on. He knows, it's the most, I guess, hydrodynamic shape is like essentially like a teardrop. Look at every high-speed fish in the ocean. It's all that same shape. You look at all your fin foils, it's that same shape, and that's pretty much the same outline that Joe's run since the 80s. It's just tweaked and changed, a bit as we go. I'm gonna use my board from 2019 this year. Still sitting there. Nothing wrong with it. Thing's an absolute rocket ship. So, but yeah, I think over the years, the most change I've made, I went narrower because I can. I think if you can handle going narrower, I mean, why not? It's got to be quicker. The board's thinner. And provided though, the payoff for that is though, if it's 10, 12 foot Molokai like it was for the outrigger race, that's going to be tippier. So, I mean, it's sort of up to the paddler. If you can handle it, go for it. If not, I wouldn't do it. You're going to have a bad day. And then a couple years prior to that, Joe started making the wide tail models. So it's just, I think they were called Bark CTs before. It was like the custom model that he had. That's the name he had for it. And then afterwards, it's called a Bark CT Wildtail, and that's what I'm using still. And I think they're great. And it's not like it's a big, wide, square tail. It's probably 1/4 of an inch, just a tad more volume in the back of the board.
And how's his factory set up? Is he shaping these boards? Does he have a machine? How does that, what's it look like over there?
He's getting a machine cut, and then he customizes them afterwards. I think just like most board manufacturers now, which I think is great because there's less, well, it's so much less labor, and there's less opportunity for error. And yeah, he has like a double bay warehouse, shapes boards in one side, and then he has a team of guys that glass the boards right next door. So yeah, the whole thing's ready to go, and he's usually got a boat in the warehouse that he's fiberglassing for himself anyway to go fishing. So I think like he had one there, took him a good 5 years, and every single time I'd turn up, like, oh yeah, like a bit more's done, just like finish the hull off, or like made storage compartments, and just like chipping away, like each afternoon, just do a bit more fiberglassing on the boat, go make some more boards, bit more on the boat, go do some more boards. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I love going there and just hanging out. Pretty cool spot there in Torrance in Cali. And he's got a bunch of really cool like old boards and like all sorts in the roof as well. You ever get over there, go check out the roof. All sorts of hand shapes from the 80s, whole lot.
Incredible. In the sport, there's stock and there's unlimited, and you are predominantly stock, from what I understand. Um, and interviewing Stu, he's gone to the unlimited. What, from your standpoint, what about stock do you like so much, and why do you stay there?
I think this is not every year as well, but I think I, most of the years that I've been there, stock's been the more competitive category. Like there's always, you look in unlimited, there might be one, two, or three guys that I'm like, oh yeah, like he could win it. And then you go look at the stock list, and there's like 4, 5, or 6 guys that you're like, hey, like the best day, like he could actually win that race still. So I think bit more competitive, and I just think that if you're going to go into like the nastiest race that you can find in the world, um, don't take the option that's going to make you finish quicker. So that's just my 2 cents, and I'm sure I'll cop it for saying that as well. But I have raced unlimited at Catalina twice now. I won it once and got second to Max first. And basically the gist of that was, at the time I'd won 3 times on stock. Max had won 3 times on unlimited. And I was like, okay, I want to race Max. So for whoever won out of that got the fourth time. So I think yeah, I beat him 1 year on unlimited, and then he beat me the next year. So yeah, I went over and beat him in his home race, and then he come back the next year and absolutely kicked my ass. So yeah, pretty good. I guess I had it coming.
And is there like a personal love you have over one or the other? I can only assume that it's the stock you love more, but is that true?
Yeah, definitely. I think the other thing, like just basic body shape. To push an unlimited well, you have to be a lot bigger. Like I think it pays to be like carrying a bit more bulk, a bit more muscle, and I'm just like a string bean. So I think it's kind of played to my favor to stay in stock, just because it's like uh, you're not you're not pushing 18-foot board. Um, I can have like a higher turnover and stroke rate on the stock board, and get away with it. But if I raced an unlimited in that same style, I don't think I'd go too well. So yeah, that's the first time I did the unlimited at Catalina. I think my board was only 17 foot, when most of the guys were running 18 or 18 fours. So I was almost running a 2 foot smaller board than anyone else. Just for that reason, it's like try and get a smaller board, faster turnover, using less muscle, and try and just see if my shoulders don't blow out before the finish line. So yeah, worked well for 1 year.
And are you doing Catalina this year?
Yeah, yeah. Don't know what I'm going to do it on. I always kind of wanted to do it on like a Tom Blake toothpick, like old school, like 1940s hollow board. I think that'd be cool, because that's like Catalina. That's like, it was founded on those boards, like those old kook boxes. I think some guys call them, but like yeah, full hollowed out Tom Blake style. And if you look at the trophy, there's actually like 2 years there that they were on those boards, and they posted like times you'd consider competitive now. So I mean, whatever they were doing back then,
Settings, sun 7:31 p.m. Software update available.
they were like still competitive. So yeah.
How are you, like, how are you feeling about that race this year?
Oh, got to get through Molokai first. one thing at a time. I haven't organised a single thing, done nothing for Catalina. entire focus will be Molokai, and then the day Molokai finishes, we'll look at Catalina.
Let's get to this question I have for you regarding the aesthetics of the water. What water do you I guess froth over most when you close your eyes and dream of water?
Oh, if I was going to race, I want it
Or-
like as nasty as it gets, as bad as it comes, because then it's more technical skill than fitness. But I mean, if I was thinking of like best, I'd just be thinking about like perfect right hand point breaks like at home. If I was like close my eyes, like that's where I could be. Like, yeah, like 4 foot home with no one out. Well, just be mates maybe.
Epic, so epic. Uh, what advice do you have for the kids out there, or maybe the kids at heart that want to get into paddleboarding? What what do you have for them?
um, swim. You know, at the very start, you want to paddle fast, swim. If you want to go out and just enjoy it, it's really good sport to get into, and it's pretty cool that you get a different outlook of a lot of areas around the world that a lot of people don't get to see, because not many people get to go to tourist towns and beautiful places and view it back from the water. So I think that's a really cool way to look at it and really enjoy that sort of aspect of it. And it's just, there's a lot of social paddlers. You know, you don't have to race, but if you want to, swimming, and nothing substitutes doing the miles.
Going to that hardcore boring pool that's flat and pounding it out, right?
You'll find out if you want to do it pretty quick.
And where I guess where are the next things that you want to check off the list? Like, do you have any large bucket lists in this sport that you haven't hit yet?
Yeah, well, not that long ago, I said to myself I was never going to race again, and I just want to do adventure paddles. So I'd still like to do, yeah, big gaps, I guess. Like I don't know, Alaska to Russia, for example. I want to go paddle gaps like that, like just like the nastiest thing that you can think of. You know, 100 miles at a time, just bang it out and just do it. Like most logistical, trickiest, worst water, go try and paddle it. And I think Jack sort of got that same mindset as well, and would really like to go tick off some pretty big ones, just for fun.
Now, those sound kind of like world records. Are these on that, or do you not think in those terms?
Um, if it is, yeah, sweet, but it's not what we're going for. Yeah, like Jack paddled 100 miles in 24 hours. Couple, I think like last year. Like, I mean, I don't really see anyone topping that for a while.
Wow.
Especially, you know, I think there's guys that have paddled like down river and paddled with current, and Jack's wasn't. Jack and Wyatt, one of his mates, 100 miles in 24 hours. Like, I don't think, yeah, that's pretty up there.
That's wild, man.
Mhm.
Before I let you go, and ask you this final question, is there anything we haven't hit that you'd like to talk about?
Not really. I think you ticked a lot of boxes. It's had to make me think about things that I haven't thought about for a good long time now. So, but yeah, I think it's really good this year. It's like one of the first years in a long time I've actually had friends to train with, and like it's hard to speak about how much like that that changes a lot. You know, all of a sudden waking up at 5 a.m. isn't that really that hard when you're just there like pissing yourself laughing in the car park before you paddle out. So, yeah, thanks to those boys for coming along and dragging them through. They're just going for a finish, and I'm going to win it. So, but I'm making them do my workload. So yeah, that's about it though. I think, yeah,
But
been good.
I do have a question on that note. So you had great success doing it yourself as far as the training goes, and now you're obviously you spoke about the team aspect of your training. Back then, how did you do that by yourself? What was it inside of you that, like, how was that?
I don't know how I did it. Like looking back at it now, I was like, I really don't know how like I did. Like I do like 90% of all my paddling by myself, and then the one session I'd week I'd do with someone, it'd be with surf skis, so I'd be left behind in the dark. So I guess my absolute best friend's my iPod, and that was it.
So you
A
would
lot of head noise.
you would listen while you paddled.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I had like the most like angsty punk 2000s playlist going the whole time.
Oh, sick, sick. What do you like?
Oh, I had a bunch of like Offspring and a bunch of like Aussie bands as well, like sort of early Blink sort of stuff. Yeah, it's all stuff that's like it's fast turnover. So you want I try to keep it as like what I want my stroke rate to be, and
Love
that's
it.
all got that like those fast drum loops.
You like no effects at all?
Yeah, yeah. One of Kurt's who I did Molokai with, I think one of his favorite bands, he turned me on to it ages ago. They
Sick.
toured out here not too long ago.
Yeah, they're on their I think doing their last show here in a month or so. They're man, just the best ever. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Uh, man, like thank you so much for coming on. It, it's been a great pleasure. Um,
Thanks
before
for
I let
having
you,
me.
yeah, bro. Before I let you go, I got one last one for you. What is the meaning of life?
Uh, if you find out, let me know. I got no clue. I heard you ask that to some of the other guys. I'm like, I have no idea how I'm going to answer that.
Yeah, sick. Yeah,
I know.
it might be paddling from Alaska to Russia. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you'd be getting shot if you did that now.
Yeah, dude.
You got
Like,
to wait. Got to wait for
how
things to calm down.
how cold is that going to be though in a wetsuit doing that for you?
Oh, icy. But like, I think at the end of the Cold War, people did it, so it's been done. But I just think that that's like the nastiest one I can think of off the top of my head.
Would going from Australia to like Indo, is that something?
Yeah, I think Zeb paddled from Papua New Guinea to the tip of Queensland in Australia. Pretty cool. But I think a lot of like South Sumatra and that sort of zone, you could do some really cool stuff in there. Down like past Cruy or like up at the Ments. Um, there's a lot of kind of like uh, I'm not gonna say like uncharted, but like um, if you spoke to the average surfer, they know where it was, but there's bits in between that just people don't really know about. So yeah, be cool to do something in the jungle along there. They still got tigers, elephants, and rhinos there.
So wild.
So
So you must be studying the world charts, like big wave surfers watch blobs. Like you're watching like the downwinding epicness on that
yeah,
globe.
I guess so.
Yeah.
not even like weather stuff, just looking for distances. I mean, like, I think if we were doing something like that, and like we wouldn't be waiting for a window, it's just like, this is the day we're going, let's go. Get in the plane, just do it. You know, it's kind of a bit of like an old school sort of mindset, but it's just like like don't ask questions, just get the job done kind of style. Yeah. So
And just to bring it home, like, is that what's so special about Molokai to Oahu is the distance combined with the bumps and the downwinding factor? Is there
yeah,
any other place in the world that has such a gap with such great waves in between?
I'm sure there is, but I think there's so much. It's like it's where you are. It's the history of the race. You know, um, and I've never seen water that color anywhere. I don't know how it's not even. It's like it's almost like so dark electric blue that it's purple. It's just it's a real weird feeling when you know something's like so crystal clear that it doesn't seem like it's there, but then you look down and you can't see anything because it's so deep, even though you know that it's crystal clear. Weird feeling. Yeah.
Dude,
So
thank you for that bit of info. That was some sick stuff. Uh, Now I'm going out there. I'll see you in a couple I guess 7 weeks or so. Um, my athlete I'm going with, Rob Brown, shouts out. He'll be competing with you, against you, however you would like to look at it. But I'll be jumping off the boat to give him his nutrition. And
nice. You
yeah,
got the best job then.
yeah, right. Yeah, so sick. So that blueness I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
The purple blueness.
Yeah. Bring a dive mask and some flippers.
Yeah,
It's worth it. Big fish out
epic,
there.
epic. Mr. Lansdown, it's been a pleasure. The sun's rising behind me. The sun is setting where you are. You need to get some
Yeah.
rest.
I'm
And
off to bed.
yeah, you're off to bed. Are you hitting the pool in the morning? Is tomorrow a pool day?
No, tomorrow's our paddle day. So paddling in the dark.
In the flat water?
Yeah, flat water on Wednesday mornings for us. Always do 10K in the river on Wednesdays.
And then what do you go do after that?
I'll be going to work.
Oh, well, what do you do when you're at work?
Um, I'll be doing it absolute little as possible and treating it like a rest day.
And
But
coming down, yeah.
yeah, otherwise I'd be going to the gym or going for a run or something.
That is something I didn't touch on that I'd like to maybe touch on for just a second is
Yeah.
recovery and the importance of recovery and how you view recovery.
Um, Someone said it to me a while ago. If you're not recovering, you're not building or moving forward. You can just stay there in that sort of like fatigue state. So I think resting appropriately and resting well is just as important as doing the mileage. Because if you're not resting, you're not moving forward. You're not, yeah, you're not building.
Well, gotta rest, gotta work hard, and then as you go win.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you again so much for joining us. And everyone listening, thank you for listening to Speaking from Water, episode 52. It has been an absolute pleasure. And till next time, peace.
Thank you.
Hey, again, thank you so much for coming on. That was super epic.
No worries. Thanks. Yeah, it's stuff that I haven't thought about for a while. Haven't had to.
Well,
That's good.
yeah, and like wish you best of luck and happy training until then. When are you flying out?
I'm only going a week before this year, so I'll be there. I don't even know. I think maybe the 20th. I think.
So
Yeah.
you'll
Yeah.
go straight to Molokai, or will you go to Oahu then to Molokai?
No, I'll do a couple of downwinds because our like weather pattern now is like we don't get wind for the next month. It just sucks. So I probably won't get to do another downwind until I'm in Hawaii, which is just horrific because this is a long, cold, flat case. So I try to get a good 3 or 4 in, get your bearings again. No.
Do you worry about like using energy or anything like that, like burning yourself out, or like I guess a lot of people taper, or do you just, is it more about going through the motions?
I might do like 2. I'm trying to think. They're like 9 miles. Like a week before, because like the volume of work that we're doing, like doing 2 9-milers is nothing. So it's like, that's kind of piss off. And then I usually try and go and surf the finish line. So go out in the wave storm or something and just surf.
Like
you
feel the vibration of the finish line.
Oh, I just kind of try to remind myself where the reef is.
Yeah, sick.
Yeah, and you pay attention to that. Like you don't want to kick out in dry reef. So I mean, then you go and do that in the race. You go, oh yeah, there's a big rock right there. I remember that. I almost hit it.
Yeah.
So just sort of familiarize yourself with it. Just go and like piss around out there and have fun, and not just like paddle through it once. I'm like, yep, I paddled the finish line. Because it's a pretty nasty little keyhole if you go right around the corner there. So, yeah, interesting little spot.
You like wave storming?
Oh, it's just the most accessible craft.
Yeah, right. And there's
seen
something about it.
Walls?
Oh yeah, I've seen the pictures.
It's
so
like
there's
you're surfing like 2 feet from the rock, like a wall, like you're on it. So yeah. I'd rather surf a wave storm than trash someone's board.
Exactly. Well, I'll let you go. Sleep well, and thanks again.
Enjoy your day. I'll see you over there. Have some beers afterwards.
You know this. Peace.
Most important part.
Exactly. This is the celebration party later.